Hi, everyone. How are you? My name is Tracy Gowler. I am the owner of Your Health Made Simple, and this is Your Health Made Simple's cooking show. And I just want to say, I don't think it's a big deal that I'm wearing my Van Halen t-shirt on my cooking show, is it? Normally, I get a little more dressed up, but today I figured, what the heck? It's Sunday. It's a beautiful day outside, and I just didn't feel like getting all dolled up for you guys today. Uh, However, I am cooking for you today. And today, what we're going to be talking about and making is the burrito bowl. So I've got my computer going over here. I can't really see what's happening on the screen. 1 second. I need to close the Facebook page because we are also streaming live on Facebook. So today we are all about burrito bowls, but what do I normally do at Your Health Made Simple? I help women over 40 with Hashimoto's through structured healing programs improve the way that they're living, because the way they're living kind of sucks. And it's really important to teach them how to take their lives back and keep it that way. But the cooking show is something completely different. I'm here because we recently released a paleo cookbook, just as a general health kind of thing. Like, if people are wondering how you should be eating, the cookbook is full of all kinds of information, all kinds of recipes to help you change the way that you eat, to help you change to eating healthier, because there's so much information out there. And what the heck do you do? Right. It's very confusing. And when I was going through my healing journey, maybe 7 years ago, trying to figure out how the heck I'm going to solve this problem, because I wasn't getting anywhere in the medical community, paleo eating was how I started. And it did start to change my world. So for those of you that haven't progressed already to autoimmune, or even if you're just getting started with the healing program in autoimmune, this is a great place to start. So let's talk about the burrito bowls here for a minute. I'm going to grab the recipe. It's really simple, and I think we're going to be done with it quite quickly, actually. And I've got a few things going on down here in the stove, and I'll show you here in a minute. We'll turn them on, but to at least get us started, I think. And let me see, inner, outer. Yeah, so we'll take a look at this here in a second. But what is in the burrito bowl? And a lot of times you've got these things in your home. So we've got olive oil and ground beef and red onion and garlic, and we've got some cayenne pepper, except that not really into pepper. So in my version of this, there isn't going to be any pepper. So I am putting my slippers back on because after a while, my feet start to hurt standing on a wood floor. Okay, we've got some paprika going in here. We've got some sea salt, and I want to show you this because sea salt doesn't always have iodine in it, but you can buy iodized sea salt. Or if you want to go with the Himalayan pink salt, which also has iodine in it, you can do that too. And we've got some cumin, dried cumin going in here today for that little bit of Hispanic flavor. The other thing that is in the recipe in the book is you can make your own salsa if you want to. And that's great. And I'm all about it. However, I'm also about making my life easy. So I've got some fresh salsa here already made, going to make my life easier today, make this meal a lot faster. It's just a deli salsa that I pick up at the grocery store at King Soopers. It's fresh, it's already cut up for you and put together, and I love it. I put it on my eggs, I put it on everything. So yeah, and we've also got an avocado that we're going to throw into the bowl too, cut into some small pieces when this stuff's done. And the other thing, rather than using regular rice, because let's talk about white rice for a minute. Not everybody can tolerate me personally. My body can't tolerate it. I have a problem with the lectins in the rice. And what does that mean? It means that it's probably contributing to brain fog, which I've cleared up a lot since I've stopped rice. So lectins like to attach to your neural pathways and create some havoc. So I don't do rice very often. So what's a good alternative for that? And also, white rice isn't necessarily crazy clean. So if you are going to do white rice, make sure it's like a basmati rice. That's a lot cleaner. But today we're opting for cauliflower rice, and you can buy it already pearled for you. Very, very easy. And I'll show you here in a minute in the pan that I got here. So what we're going to do now is start cooking up the onion that I've already cut up and the little pieces of garlic that is already cut up for me. It's freeze dried. It's gluten-free, and I found this at the grocery store, and I just love it because it's less work for me, non-GMO, gluten-free. So these are things to keep an eye on when you're out at the grocery store looking for stuff. So let me start cooking down here because we're going to add the meat in here in a minute. I'm going to show you what I got going on down here. You know, can you see? I think you can. There you go. So we've got a little bit of olive oil in here with the onions, and we're starting to heat up the pan right now. So we're gonna cook these up, and actually I've had these sitting here for a little bit while I've been getting ready, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, eyes, don't fail me now, because these are pretty strong, these red onions. And over here, I've got some cauliflower rice, if you can see it, with a little bit of olive oil in the pan. So we're gonna start to brown this up too. And I'm going to put a little bit of pepper in there. Always have to remember which guy it is. It's the one without the teeth. So there we go. So what's the big deal about paleo eating anyway? Well, it's ancestral, meaning, you know, like a caveman way of eating. It's basically meat and vegetables, not meat and potatoes. You can eat potatoes in paleo. Once we get to an autoimmune sort of supporting diet, we give up the potatoes because they do tend to boost the immune system. So, and tomatoes as well. They also tend to boost the immune system. So we're going to let these things sit in here for a minute and let those cook. So I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing down here. And then I'm going to flip this back up. So maybe you're not talking to, oh yeah, I got the jean shorts on today too, just so you know. It's very cash today. Okay, so let me flip this up. So let's talk a little bit more about paleo. And let me see if I can get myself in here. All right, without cutting my head off too much. Okay, so paleo, we're just eating mostly meat and veggies. And if we're using spices, we want them to be clean and gluten-free. When we step into paleo, we're going gluten-free, we're eliminating sugar, we're eliminating, not everyone eliminates dairy, but those are the three big hitters for inflammation in the body. Gluten really contributes to leaky gut, which is what we're trying to avoid. We've got about 85% of the population in this country with leaky gut. And since gut health is at the root of your health, it's also at the root of illness. We want to make sure that we are supporting our gut health and not contributing to leaky gut. So gluten does do that. And maybe one of these days I'll spend more time talking about it, but I do have a webinar on it if you're interested on how that happens. And you can put comments, you know, down below the Facebook Live. And if you're interested, I can share that webinar with you all. But we've got dairy causing inflammation for about 90% of the population. There's only about 10% of the population that really have the genetics to be able to tolerate dairy. And they're generally coming out of Europe. But most of us are going to have some inflammation because of it, and gas and gut issues because of it. And sugar is a big hitter. Sugar really wreaks havoc on the body. It's a very complex way that sugar affects us. It affects our insulin levels. It affects our ability to tolerate insulin. It also hits the center of the pleasure center of the brain in the same way that cocaine and heroin does. And sugar is in so much of the processed foods out there. So when we eat sugar, literally we should be eating, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 6 teaspoons a day for women, and it might be 9 for men. But when you drink one like bottle of pop, you know, that you can buy, they're not small anymore. That's like 25 grams of sugar, somewhere around in there. And so, you know, when you're talking 6 teaspoons of sugar at 4 grams of sugar per teaspoon, that's 24. So just one thing of pop per day, you've already met the limit for women. And some people are having more than that, plus all the other things that you're eating that has sugar in it. So it's causing a lot of inflammation in the body. And inflammation, as I've said, is at the root of our health or the root of our illness. So sugar is bad, very, very, very bad. So paleo, right? If you just follow the recipes that are in, because you're probably like, well, how do I know? How do I know? You either go out and you find yourself some paleo recipes, or you're going to buy our cookbook and follow the instructions. And that's how you're going to eat paleo. You don't have to think about it too much if you're just finding a resource that does it for you. So anyway, yeah, gluten. It's not our friend. And I think last time I was here cooking, and I'm going to add the meat in here, I think now. I was talking about how do you get your fix for bread, right? I mean, oh my gosh, even still, when I walk into the grocery store, and what do? They line up on those little racks as soon as you walk into the grocery store, the freshly made bread. Oh my gosh, right? And don't you just start drooling, smelling it? I love fresh made bread. I love warm bread. However, I can no longer eat it. It is at the root of everything that I've dealt with. And if I eat it, it's just going to kick it off all over again. And I really don't want to go back there. So I found a company called Simple Needs, Kneads. And they actually make their breads homemade, you know, like maybe your grandparents made or even your mother made at home. And basically it's bread without gluten in it. They've got a sourdough option and a pumpernickel option, and they make 4 loaves for you if you place an order, and they actually ship it to your house. It's kind of great. So what kind of meat am I using? Well, the grocery store that I go to has natural ground beef with no antibiotics ever, no added hormones. I'm actually using a 91% because that's all I could find at the store. Normally I like to cook with an 80% because the fat's good for you. We do need a certain amount of fat in our diet, but today we've got olive oil in here and olive oil in there, and so it's okay. And we're going to eat some avocado in a little bit too. So, all right. So just going to throw that out really quick, and we're going to cut this up, and then we're going to start adding the spices. So let me move this down a little bit and you can see what the heck I'm doing. All right, can you see? All right, we'll do this. So some people, it might be a little loud, I hope you can hear me, might like to add in some parsley into your cauliflower rice when you're making it. I just put some pepper in there today. But I've also cooked it with the olive oil and added parsley, fresh parsley in here because it's really yummy. It adds some flavor to this. It just depends on what you're doing. And I'm actually going to turn this off for the moment because it's cooked up pretty good. Okay, so we're going to break this up some more. I mean, the reality is, once this is done, we're just about done with this, but I do want to cut up this meat a little bit more and mix it up really good with this onion for flavor and garlic. And then we're going to start throwing the spices in here. So as I said, cayenne pepper is in the recipe. However, not a big fan of pepper. which is interesting because it's been that way since I was a little kid. And when I went and did my food sensitivity testing, guess what showed up? Pepper, and I never even eat it. So clearly, if we listen to our bodies do tell us something. Peas is another one that I have despised since I was a little kid. I'll tell you my peas story in a minute. But anyway, when I did my food sensitivity testing, guess what showed up on there? Peas. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, my parents, you know, back when I was little, it was a thing to sit and eat all the food on your plate, you know, because you have parents and children of people that went through the world wars. So, you know, they starved a lot, and it was important to eat the food that you had. So that's the way I grew up. Anyway, I would sit at the table because I really, really, really hated peas. And I would either mix it in my potatoes and try to swallow them whole, or try to swallow it with milk. The only problem with that is I had major issues with dairy that I didn't really understand until I got older. So I'm trying to wash all these peas down with milk and hoping they wouldn't split open in my mouth. But finally, I think it was about 3 when I finally threw up at the table, and they decided I might be telling the truth. And so I didn't have to eat the peas anymore, but hated peas. All right, let me get the next spices here. Okay, so we've got some paprika that we're putting in here, and we've got some salt, and we've got also some ground cumin. So let me see how much we need. We need a 1/4 teaspoon, not of cayenne pepper if you're doing it. I am not. We need 1/2 teaspoon of paprika and a 1/4 teaspoon of dried cumin. So I'm going to start here with the cumin. I love a 1/4 teaspoon. Yep. Okay. And yeah, we're going to be done here in just a minute, honestly. And I do like cumin, so I'm just going to throw a little bit of extra in here. You know, me following a recipe. We've been through this before, I believe, when I've sort of, oh, that was my 8th. Sorry. So I did put 2, but I'm going to put another. Sorry. Oh, that was loud. Sorry. Can you hear the Canadian in me? Saying sorry all the time, and I actually just snorted. I apologize. All right. We're going to throw in 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. Just so yummy on deviled eggs, which I also love. And then we're going to mix this up, and I want to put a little bit of salt in here. I'm not a big salt fan, but I realize that we need it. So I don't use, sorry, we're noisy again. Huge amounts, but we'll put a little bit of salt in here. Okay. And we're going to mix this up and let it cook. Okay. Yummy. Smells good already. So wow, can you believe how fast that is? Okay, I'm going to turn this camera back up so that you all can see what I'm doing here, and hopefully not get myself into the, there we are. Woo. Okay, into the food. I got to sort this out somehow, right? Where I have 2 cameras. I know. Okay, so that is it for the meat. Holy smokes. That's it. The cauliflower rice is cooked that fast. The meat is cooked that fast. And we've already got the salsa ready. One thing that we could do is throw a little bit of spinach in here. So hold on, I'm just going to get some spinach. What you could do is make it, I suppose, more like a burrito bowl, right? And have some shredded lettuce, which I actually don't have. And the spinach is kind of big. So I think I'm just going to throw it in with the meat. I know I'm crazy. I know. It's all right, though. Just so that we get a little bit more veggies with this. I'm just going to do it. And then we'll throw this into the bowl. Holy smokes. And then we're going to cut up the avocado and throw it in there. I'm always veering from the recipe, but it's just what I do. Okay. So, you know, if you're here to watch me cook everything that's in the, it's probably not going to happen very well. Just saying. And I probably should have cooked the spinach earlier, but it's okay. It's going to get small soon. Yeah, in the book, at the front of the recipe book, we talk about a lot of things, right? We talk about why all these things in this way of eating is important. We also talk a lot about water, and water is huge. Most of us are running around dehydrated. I'm not going to include myself in that anymore, but I used to be one that ran around dehydrated. And how much are we supposed to drink of water every day? Well, you're supposed to take your ounces in body weight. So let's just assume I'm a svelte, like 120 pounds, not true, but let's just assume that. And if I divided that by 260, so you're supposed to drink half of your body weight in ounces of water. Like clearly I'm not that anymore. So I'm drinking more than that. But so you take your weight, divide it by 2, and you should be drinking that in ounces of water per day. So that was simple, right? Why? Because our bodies are mostly water. And if we're not functioning, and we've got electrical currents running through our system, and there's so many other chemical processes going on inside our bodies that requires water to happen. If we don't have enough water in there, we're hurting ourselves pretty significantly. So you need your water. Drink your water. Not out of plastic bottles either, by the way. In a minute, you're going to see all the water bottles that I stuff over there in the corner. And I just want you to know that that plastic one is not mine. There's only so much I can do for the other people that are in my house. They have to make choices for themselves too. But mine are all the double-walled stainless, and I love them. And by the way, they keep my water cold for 24 hours, mostly. But still better than the water bottles that have been around forever. Okay, so here we go. I've got my spinach kind of all mixed in now. I'll show you, and we'll fix this one more time. Here you go. Do you see? I got spinach mixed in. So, and it really wasn't a lot of spinach. It's just going to make me feel better about what I'm eating. And now we're going to go ahead and make our bowl. Isn't that exciting? There we go. And we're going to scoot over here a little bit too. So you can see the stuff that's going on over here. I'm just going to take a drink for a minute. I'm going to talk about my water in a minute. All right, so we're going to throw some of this cauliflower rice at the bottom of this bowl here. And so this is like our rice. Yum. Okay. It depends on how much you want. I didn't make a lot of the rice because I like it kind of fresh rather than been sitting in my fridge. So we'll put about maybe this much in the bowl. And so this would be the time when you might want to throw your shredded lettuce in there if that's what you like. I just didn't happen to have any today. So obviously we're using the spinach. Yeah. And so we put a little bit of meat on top of the bowl here. Might be a little bit too much, but I do like my meat. And we're going to cut up an avocado now with my trusty little knife here and into a cube, because why not? Cubes, and throw it into the bowl. Yay. Okay, let me get this out of here so it doesn't end up in my bowl. So we'll just cut it up while it's still in its casing. It's much simpler. And we'll just scoop it out with the spoon that I have here and throw it into the bowl. And I'm just going to put the whole half because I love avocado. And then we're going to stick some of the salsa in there. And I really did this backwards. I'm going to have to grab a new spoon. Hold on. Because I'm not sticking this into my salsa. Okay, so there's that. 1 second. New spoon. Okay. Okay. So how healthy is this? And how simple was that? I was at this really cool little market when I got my haircut, finally got my haircut in Denver last week. And oh man, look at that. Isn't that great? I'm gonna have to take a picture of this and stick it in the book because I have no pictures of these in the book. So if you guys own the book and you're cooking these, please send me pictures, but I'm gonna stick this in the book. This looks so yummy and smells so yummy. But as I was saying, because I get carried away all the time, like something shiny, you know, and off I go. But I found these spices at this little market in Denver last week, and they're called Morton and Bassett, San Francisco, but they're all gluten-free, non-GMO, salt-free, all natural, no MSGs. Man, these are great. So I bought a whole bunch of them last week because they're usually having to order them online, but and spices are one of the worst places for gluten contamination. So yeah, look for clean spices, gluten-free spices. Maybe you guys can find these online too. Martin and Bassett out of San Francisco. And then I also have some others that are spicely spices, I believe. So you want to look for that as well. Anyway, that was it. I'm done literally in 25 minutes. I've got a meal here that looks pretty amazing that I'm going to chow down on next after I take the picture. And I hope you've enjoyed this with me. I'm thinking because it is summertime and we're getting a little bit busier here and getting outside a little more, that I'm going to slow this down and do it maybe once a month now till we get through summertime, and maybe kick it back to every other week once we hit fall again. But I hope you're enjoying the cooking show. I feel that even though I have a focus on, you know, women with Hashimoto's, that it's also really, really important to teach people how to just be healthy in general. So that's the reason that we released the cookbook. And I hope those of you that have bought it are really enjoying it and finding some good food in there to eat. And we're making it easier for you because we've got everything provided in our shopping lists. And meals for lunches and dinners. And the reality is you don't have to cook every meal, right? Like this, if I'm just cooking for myself, which I don't always, but there's enough in here for two or three. So I can eat this tonight. I can eat it for lunch tomorrow. And maybe I would double the recipe so that I could freeze some too, just so that I have it for later in the week or next week, so that I'm not constantly in my kitchen cooking, because we all have lives to lead. It's really just about managing your time and planning. And that's what I'm hoping to do by providing you all the information in the cookbook that's out there. So again, guys, the goal is to lower the inflammation. The cookbook is full of recipes that are going to help you do that, where you don't even have to think about it. And if there's things in the recipes you don't like, then just pull them out. I do it all the time. So because I'm a little picky. But other than that, I hope you're having a great Sunday. Have a great rest of your day. And we will chat again in about 4 weeks. Take care. Wonderful chatting with you.